Prabhuji Mataji. Ready for a Saturday morning Bhagavatam session, right? Bhagavatam reading at least. Hare Krishna. So we'll start with Kirtanama. What Kirtan you want to sing? Share screen, right? Right? This is the one you want to sing? Right, let's do that. Hare Krishna, will start with a small Kirtan Prabhuji Mataji's. Okay, if you can turn on your cameras, that would be great, but yes.
Hare Krishna.
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokularuni Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokularuni Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Damodararati Vardhana Veshe Hari Nishkuta Vrindavipineshe Damodararati Vardhana Veshe Hari Nishkuta Vrindavipineshe Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokulataruni Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Rishabhanudari Navashashi Lekhe Lalita Sakhi Guna Ramita Vishakhe Rishabhanudari Navashashi Lekhe Lalita Sakhi Guna Ramita Vishakhe Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokulataruni Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Karuna Kurumai Karuna Bharite Sanata Sanatana Varvita Charite Karuna
Kurumai Karuna Bharite Sanaka Sanatana Varvita Charite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Gokulataruni Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Gokulataruni Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So let's go into prayers. Mangalacharana prayers. Hare Krishna.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvita Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadhanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha. Namah Pankajanabhaya Namah Pankajamarine Namah Pankajanetraya
Namaste Pankajangre. Namo Brahmanyaya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Very quickly we'll do sisters prayers. Chetodarpanamajanam Vamahadhavagni Nirvapanam Shreyah Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jeevanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Stapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti Tatrarpita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Etadrashi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaivam Vidusham Iha Janinanuragaha Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada Hari Nadhanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitamba Jagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatad Bhaktirahituki Tvai Ainam Tatanujakinkaram Patitamam Vishame Bhavam Buddho Kripaya Tava Pada Pankajasthita Dhuri Sadrisham Vichintaya Nayanam Galadashrudharaya Vadanam Gadgadaruddhaya Gira Pulakai Nichitam Vapuh Kada Tava Nama Grihane Bhavishyati Yugaitam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravrashaitam Sunyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahena Me Aslishyava Padaratam Pinastumam Adarshanan Marmahatam Karotuma Yatha Tatha Va Vidhadatulam Pato Matprananathastu Saevana Paraha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Prabhuji and Matajis, welcome to the Saturday morning Bhagavatam class. Thank you so much for joining. Venkateshwara Garu, nice to see you, sir, after a long time. Hare Krishna Ravi Prabhuji, Santosh Aditya Prabhu, Praveen Prabhu, Kinchan Prabhu, everybody on the class. If you can, some of you at least, if you can turn on the cameras, yeah, we'll see. So, I thought today we'll discuss Canto 7, Chapter 14th chapter. Again, here this chapter is a conversation between Yudhishthira Maharaj, Dharmaraja, and Narada Muni. So, if you look at the cantos,
some noise.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Some noise.
Yeah, Prabhuji, there's some static coming from your side.
Some voice is coming from my side.
No, static noise, like some white noise.
Some background disturbance is coming.
There's a lot of background noise.
From my system, Prabhu, I don't see anything here. The second one is also turned off.
Any other devices around, Prabhuji?
No, Prabhu, excepting Nirupama Mataji is sitting.
Nirupama Mataji, you did something just now, it stopped. I don't know what you did.
It has gone now, yeah.
Okay.
It stopped now, Prabhuji. I don't know what you did.
Okay. All right. So Canto 7, the signs of God, basically, like, the signs of God is, this chapter helps us discover our purpose of life and our relationship with God better, right? So here, if you go through this content of the chapters, when you come to the 11th, 11, 12, 13, sorry, okay, the 11, 12, 13, here again, like the chapter 7, Canto 7 is all about Prahlad Charitra, Narsimha Charitra, and then it's a conversation between and Narada Muni. Here again the discussions happen on the Varnashra Dharma. The chapter 11 is more about Varnashra Dharma, and then the chapter 12 is more spiritual classes. Then when it comes to behavior of perfect person, and chapter 14 starts with the ideal family life. Here we'll start with the first shloka. Mostly we'll read through the translations. Maharaj Yudhishthir inquired from Narada Muni, "O my lord, O great sage, kindly explain how we who are staying at home without knowledge of the goal of life may also easily attain liberation according to the instruction of Vedas." Hare Krishna. So background noise is again coming. Okay. You know what? I'll just log off from this second screen. Are you still getting background noise, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
What do you want me to just log off and come back in?
No. Did Nirupama Mataji log off right now?
Yeah. There's not. She's still sitting next to me.
No. That device just got logged off and the noise stopped, I think.
Okay. Let's see.
Thank you. Bye. Love you.
Prabhu, can you make me just a co-host or something on this one?
I did.
Probably started again the same noise.
Prabhuji, you are co-host already.
I'm co-host already. So where is the noise coming from, Prabhu, then?
Let me mute you 1 second. You can unmute 1 second. Prabhuji, it's coming from your system only.
It's coming from my system. Okay, then let me log off and come back in.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Is the noise back?
If you speak, we can tell you.
Yeah, so just let me start sharing my computer screen. How is it, Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhu, fine. Prabhu.
Fine, thank you, Prabhu. Sorry for the whatever mess up. Yes.
Again, it's coming, Prabhuji.
Again, it's coming.
Yeah.
I believe, Prabhuji, this is fan noise. When you start sharing, it's getting load on your computer and it's coming through that.
But I never heard a fan noise coming in these screens. All right. So we get the other laptop. Which laptop we get? Yes. Try to use another laptop. Just give me 1 second. Huh? The fan noise is so much disturbance, is it, Prabhu? It's surprising.
Tell you on a lighter side, ideal family life means this only.
Yes, Prabhu.
It's more now. Can you check now?
Prabhu?
It's more. It's huge noise now, Prabhuji.
It's more, is it increasing?
Yeah.
Okay. Fan noise. Okay.
I think it's a fan noise. It's some kind of a fan. Fan to the laptop or anything.
Fan. I didn't realize that can cause so much of this thing. But again.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, maybe in Zoom you can try, enabling that noise cancellation, noise suppression. You might have enabled natural sound. So then it takes all the noises from outside. So I don't know, in Zoom there is a feature.
Prabhuji, to know if it is a fan or not, maybe you can move the laptop a little far. Not coming, it is fan.
No, the fan inside the laptop.
Okay.
One second, Ronnie. 1 second. I'm just setting up a different laptop. I'm assuming that also has a fan, but
Now it is good, Prabhuji. Or else it is also okay with that noise. It's not much.
is this better, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
1 second. But this also where's the voice? Yeah. Okay, so. Start. Connect చేయాలి computer power charging ఉంది కానీ all right Prabhu, I'm almost there. That's my joke. Yes, Prabhu. So let's get to this computer. Hoping it's no fan or fanless. All right. So here the conversation is between Maharaj Yudhishthira is inquiring Narada, "Oh my Lord, O great says, kindly explain how we who are staying at home without." Sorry, the host asked you to start here. Okay, sir. Without knowledge of goal of life may also easily attain liberation according to the instruction of Vedas. Here, see, so again, here we should understand, because we are all grihasthas, right? So here Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking for the ideal procedures that grihasthas have to follow. Again, we always talked about Arjuna being a grihastha, Dharmaraj being grihastha. So we hearing what their problems or what they think we should be following is very important. Especially in ISKCON, Gaurang Prabhu once said, only 1% of ISKCON is in temples, 99% of ISKCON is in grihasthas. It is in the hands of grihasthas. And that's a very true statement, really, because the goal of any spiritual organization, a goal of ISKCON is not about making everybody sannyasis, but be able to live an ideal grihastha life, right? So that's what here Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking, and Narada Muni's replies will start saying, "My dear king, those who stay at home as householders must act to earn their livelihood, and instead of trying to enjoy the results of their work themselves, they should offer these results to Krishna, the Vasudeva. How to satisfy Vasudeva in this life can be perfectly understood through the association of great devotees of the Lord." Hare Krishna. So here, Narada Muni is saying the starting point of attaining liberation easily, right? That's what Yudhishthira Maharaj's question is. Without knowledge of goal of life, may also easily attain liberation. And here Narada Muni is saying the first such step is association. Right? So the first such step is association. So again, how should we understand association? How should we understand association, and what kind of association we're talking about? Association perfectly understood through the association of great devotees of Lord. Again, what is the quality of the person with whom we are associating? He should be a great devotee of Lord. That's something Prabhuji and Mataji, as individual human beings, we have to be watchful of these things. Why do we need association, and what kind of association we need? See, here again, couple of things we should take away from this sloka. Those who stay at home as householders must act to earn their livelihood, Here again, Prabhupada is not saying that you should live to earn your livelihood. You should act to earn your livelihood, and instead of trying to enjoy the results of their work themselves, they should offer the results to Krishna. Sometimes such words actually confuse me or bewilder me. Like, what is it really meaning? Act to earn on their livelihood and trying to enjoy the results of the work themselves. No, they are not trying to enjoy your work themselves, but should offer them, which means you have to pick a livelihood that you are able to offer the results to Krishna. If not, such a livelihood itself is a bad association in itself. Right? So if your livelihood is not helping you to offer the results to Krishna, probably that's not best. That's not what Narada Muni is saying is the source of liberation. Then how can that happen? Then at every minute of your association should teach you how that association in life can satisfy Vasudeva. Right? So most of the topics that we heard, most of the topics that we are discussing are something that we already have heard, but still probably one more time we're trying to reiterate ourselves to make a check and balance on ourselves. Are we the Vaishnava? Are we the Vaishnava that everybody should seek association from? Or are we seeking association from the right Vaishnavas? What that Vaishnava etiquette mean? Maybe there's a point to do some kind of introspection to see what that qualities that Narada Muni is expecting from a basic grihastha, or what kind of activities that Narada Muni is expecting from a basic grihastha, right? Hare Krishna. So can somebody help me read through this purport? Let's read few purports.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu. Santashaditya. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
The format for Grihastha life should be dedication to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita 6.1, it is said, Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yah sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na nirganir na cha kriya. One who is unattached to the fruits of his work, who works as he is obliged, is in the renounced order of life, and he is a true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no work. Whether one acts as a brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, or sannyasi, he must act only for the satisfaction of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. This should be the principle for everyone's life. Narada Muni has already described the principle of life for a brahmachari, vanaprastha, and sannyasi. And now he is describing how a grihastha should live. The basic principle is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The science of satisfying the Supreme Lord can be learned as described here. Sakshat Upasita Mahamuni. The word Mahamuni refers to great saintly persons or devotees. Saintly persons are generally known as Munis or thoughtful philosophers concerned with transcendental subject matters. And Mahamuni refers to those who have not only thoroughly studied the goal of life, but who are actually engaged in satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudeva. These persons are known as devotees. Unless one associate with devotees, one cannot learn the science of Vasudeva Pana, or dedicating one's life to Vasudeva, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. The science of satisfying the Supreme Lord can be learned as described here, right? The word Mahamuni refers to great saintly persons or devotees. Saintly persons are generally known as munis, are thoughtful philosophers concerned with transcendental subject matters, and Mahamuni refers to those who have not only thoroughly studied the goal of life, but who are actually engaged in satisfying the Supreme Personality of God. See, so that's the association we are looking for. So are these Mahamunis, they're talking about, are they brahmacharis, Vanuprastha people, or sannyasis? No, they can be within the people who are practicing proper grihasthastra dharma. But what the proper grihasthastra dharma means, have studied the goal of life, but who are actually engaged in satisfying the Supreme Personality of God. What does that mean? Every action that we are doing as Grihasthasrama, as a member of Grihasthasra Dharma, has to be, underlying principle is, it has to be satisfying. It has to be satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only such association. What does it mean? So most of the times when we associate, are we really discussing anything other than that is going to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead? If our attachment to association is more related to non-devotional service, then that is waste of time, waste of life. Waste of time, waste of life. What is waste of time, waste of life means? Waste of time, waste of life means lost opportunity to get out of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi cycle. Right? In India, the principles of this science were followed strictly. Even 50 years ago, I saw that in villages of Bengal and suburbs of Calcutta, people engaged in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam daily when all their activities ended, or at least in the evening before going to bed. See, these are the qualities of ideal grihastha. This is what Srila Prabhupada is defining as the qualities of ideal grihastha. So they have to engage hearing in Bhagavatam daily. Engage hearing in Bhagavatam daily, or at least read Bhagavatam for a few minutes before going to bed. Bhagavata classes were held in every village, and thus people had the advantage of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes everything about the aim of life, liberation, and salvation. This will be clearly explained in the next verses. Again, then we'll start seeing how Bhagavatam is helping us to become an ideal grihastha. Prabhuji and Matajis, if we are failing to take clues from this, take handles from this, take it as it is and not practicing it, then we have wasted both time. Time is function of life, so which means we have wasted life. What is waste of time means? Waste of time means wasting an opportunity, wasting a minute in life means in terms of wasting an opportunity that's taking you closer to the Godhead. Right? So the first and best quality that one should have the association of devotees, but even before that, you should develop yourself to be a devotee that people would seek your association. And that can start with what's the first step? He's saying, don't enjoy the fruits. They have to be offered to the Lord, offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that does not mean you stop doing work. Grihasthas have not been, or not entitled to not to do anything. Brahmacharis and Vanaprasthas and sannyasis are entitled to not doing anything, but grihasthas cannot keep themselves not performing work, but perform the work for the satisfaction of Lord, and that's the balance one should strike it. Right? Hare Krishna Prabhu. So let's go to the third shloka. Third translation. A grihastha must associate again and again with saintly people, and with great respect, he must hear nectar of activities of the Supreme Lord and his incarnations as these activities are described in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. Thus, one should gradually become detached from the affection of his wife. One should gradually become detached from affection of his wife and children, exactly like a man awakening from a dream. Hare Krishna. This is a strong statement, strong sentence. Grihastha means living in a setup of a family of wife, children, and every other relation, right? So again here, Narad Muni is not talking about every other relation. Probably every other relation is not as much attached. When one doesn't feel attached to any other relation other than wife and children. And here, the association should help in doing what? One should gradually become detached from affection of his wife and children. So what does it mean? You should start disowning wife, start disowning children? No, not really. Not really. Then what this detachment means in a world that we live with constant attachment? Right? So what is this really the detachment that Narad Muni is talking about? And how does the detachment happen? How does that detachment happen when you are still constantly living in a proximity of these people? Right, Prabhuji and Matajis, how does it happen? Let's get through the text purport and then let's come back for discussion. Hare Krishna, somebody wants to read the purport?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, shall I read?
Yes, Mataji, please.
The Krishna consciousness movement has been established to give Grihasthas all over the world an opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita specifically. The process, as described in many ways, is one of the hearing and chanting. Shrunvattam Swakatha Krishnaha Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. Everyone, especially the Grihasthas who are moodhadi, ignorant about the goal of life, should be given opportunities to hear about Krishna simply by attending lectures in the different centers of the Krishna consciousness movement, where topics of Krishna and from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are discussed. They will be purified of their sinful inclination for constant indulgence in illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling, which have all become prominent in modern days. Thus, they can be raised to the status of light, Punya Shravana Kirtana, simply by joining the Kirtana, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and by hearing about Krishna from Bhagavad Gita, one must be purified, especially if he also takes prasada. This is all going on in the Krishna consciousness movement. Another specific description here is Shrunvan Bhagavato Bhikshanam Avatara Kathamritam. It is not that because one has once finished Bhagavad Gita, he should not hear it again. The word Abhikshanam is very important. We should hear again and again. There is no question of stopping. Even if one has read these topics many times, he should go on reading again and again, because Bhagavad Katha, the words spoken by Krishna and spoken by Krishna's devotees about Krishna, are Amritam, nectar. The more one drinks this Amritam, the more he advances in his eternal life. Shall I continue?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. We'll pause for a minute here, Mataji.
Okay.
So again, Prabhuji and Mataji, here we're talking about detachment from family, and that Prabhupada started explaining with the spirituality, right? With spirituality and how to attain that detachment aspect of what Narada Muni is talking about. That can happen only, again, like the previous sloka we have seen, we are not supposed to do not to do work, but do the work, but what do you call, offer the fruits to the God. Offer the fruits to the God. You have to work, but you offer your fruits to the God. You live in your family life and offer the fruits of family life to God. Offer the relationship to the God. In the sense we have seen in Bhagavad Gita, everywhere we understand God in three forms: the Bhagavan form, the what do you call, the effulgence form, and the Paramatma form. So wife and children, family is the closest thing for any human being. That should be seen as an opportunity to understand that Paramatma aspect of in every other living being. That has to be the starting point. Your wife or your spouse can be or should be the instrument in identifying that Paramatma relationship between two human beings, between two jivas. Between two jivas, when you can identify the Paramatma aspect in yourself, and we are able to identify the Paramatma aspect in your spouse, and then the process or the ability to have children becomes just an opportunity to bring in other jiva in this human form to help that jiva to liberate or to reach moksha, versus you having a child. Right, Prabhuji? So when you were able to put God in the center of that family relationship, then you are working for a family in very close proximity, yet you are working in a very detached manner. The surrender, Trinada Pisuni Jana, starts within the family, with the family. That's the starting point, right? If it cannot start in the family with the spouse, then you are never able to surrender. You are never able to surrender to this, to even God, even to the God. You see, Prabhuji, Prabhuji and Mataji. So further, the two instruments that we have in our hand are Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavad. Any number of times you read Bhagavad Gita, any number of times you read the same shloka of Bhagavad Gita, you start to understand it little different. A lot of people say this. When I'm read the same shloka as Prabhuji, I'm now understanding it different. No, you're not understanding it different. You're just understanding it deeper. So what does the deeper understanding means? It's an understanding that is bringing you closer to the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. With that, to help that understanding, get to that help of understanding is where family has to be useful. Otherwise, you're simply attached to your family. Right? The human form of life is meant for liberation, but unfortunately, due to the influence of Kali Yuga, every day the grihasthas are working hard like asses. Early in the morning, they raise and travel even 100 miles away to earn bread, especially in the Western countries. I have seen that people awaken at 5 o'clock to go to offices and factories and their livelihood. People in Calcutta and Mumbai also do this every day. They work very hard in their office or factory. Again, they spend 3 or 4 hours in transportation returning home. Then they retire at 10 o'clock and again raise early morning, go to the office and factory. This kind of hard labor is described in the Shastras as the life of pigs and stool eaters. Hare Krishna. So if we think this is what our life is meant for, see what Prabhupada is saying. According to Shastras, this life is the life of pigs and stool eaters. Of all living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form of life should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs, hogs, and that eat stool. Again, Bhagavatam 5.5.1, this Prabhupada is referring to that. One must find some time for hearing Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. This is the Vedic culture. One should work 8 hours at most to earn livelihood. And either in the afternoon or in the evening, a householder should associate with devotees to hear about incarnations of Krishna and his activities, thus be gradually liberated from the clutches of Maya. However, instead of finding time to hear about Krishna and householders, after working hard in office and factories, find time to go to a restaurant or a club where instead of hearing about Krishna and his activities, they're very much pleased to hear about political activities of demons and non-devotees, and to enjoy sex, wine, women, and meat, and in this way, waste of their time. This is not Grihastha life, but demonic life. The Krishna consciousness movement, however, with its centers all over the world, gives such fallen souls and condemned persons an opportunity to hear about Krishna, and condemned persons an opportunity to hear about Krishna. Hare Krishna. So let's further continue. In a dream, we form a society of friendship and love, and when we awaken, we see that it has ceased to exist. Similarly, one's gross society, family, and love are also a dream. And in this dream, and this dream will be over as soon as one dies. Therefore, whether one is dreaming in a subtle way or a gross way, these dreams are all false and temporary. One's real business is to understand that one is soul, and that his activity should therefore be different, then one can be happy. Again, referring to Brahma Bhute sloka from Bhagavad Gita 18.54. One who is transcendently situated at once realizes Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards all living entities. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. One who is engaged in devotional service can very easily be liberated from the dream of materialistic life. And living in materialistic life, living in proximity of family, and yet we want to live in a detached life. That means, as a family, you have to be attached to Lord Krishna. Then only you as an individual can lead a meaningful and purposeful life together in a detached fashion. Unless we clear up that kind of air within the family, we are never going to get to a point of liberation. Hare Krishna. Let's get to the next shloka and move. Sorry. Chapter 14. Right. Shloka 3 and 4. So what does shloka 3 and 4 talk about? A grihastha must associate again and again with saintly persons, and with great respect he must hear nectar of activities of Supreme Lord and his incarnations, as these activities are described in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. Thus, one should gradually become detached from affection of his wife and children, exactly like a man awakening from a dream. So let's the next shloka. While working to earn his livelihood as much as necessary to maintain body and soul together, one who is actually learned should live in human society unattached to family affairs, although externally appearing very much attached. So the tools that we have are again Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And what does those tools help us to do? Those tools help us to live in a life such that we appear very much attached, but in reality we are in an attached family affairs, but yet live in a human society that satisfies all the needs of Grihastha Dharma. So in Grihastha Dharma, each one of us in the family has to help each other to attain that liberation, attain that goal. If not, it's a wasted family life. That means you're just using the family life for the purpose of sense gratification. If you are spending your family life with such just for the sake of sense gratification, it is just, again, as I mentioned, it is a waste of your time and life. So let's get on to the next shloka and then come back. Needed. An intelligent man in human society should make his own program of activities very simple. If there are suggestions from his friends, children, parents, brothers, or anyone else, he should externally agree, saying, yes, that's all right. But internally, he should be determined not to create a cumbersome life in which the purpose of life will not be fulfilled. So here, the first shloka we have seen that the fundamental requirement for liberation is association. Because we live in a society where you are not living in isolation. So your association determines what you are, right? With association, people's things change, attitude change, lifestyle change. So if you are constantly associating with people that spend their evenings going to a pub or bar or a restaurant, you one day become that. If you constantly spend your time with association of people that are engaging themselves in Krishna consciousness, are engaging themselves in understanding the Shastra and engaging themselves in understanding the purpose of life, then you start to become that. Once you're in a family life, once you're in a Grihastha life, you have an association that's already fixed. You cannot change that association because you want to live a detached life. The only thing you can do is you change that association into the association that Shastra is asking for. Only that way you live in a family and still be detached from family because you are living for attachment with the God. You're understanding, Prabhuji Mataji? The moment you can make your defined association as the association that is defined in Vedas. So the defined association is a family, wife, spouse, or children, and parents. And if you can cultivate, if you know, there's no other option. There's no other option. If you can is not, you have to cultivate. You have to cultivate that consciousness in the family if you want to get liberated and if you want to reach the goal of life as God wanted it, as God insisted that this should be your goal of life. So for that, you have to first have a proper external association, and next step is change your internal association to that what is required or what matches what God's requirement. And one of such instruments for it is reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and in this shloka, then that can also be attained by making your life simple. Prabhupada always used to say that, right? Simple living and high thinking. Here, Narada Muni is also saying, an intelligent man in human society should make his own program of activities very simple. If there are suggestions from his friends, children, parents, brothers, or anyone else, he should externally agree, saying, yes, that's all right. But internally, he should be determined not to create a cumbersome life, in which the purpose of life will not be fulfilled. Again, the purpose of life is not to have life again. The purpose of life is not to have life again. The purpose of life is to get out of the cycle of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi cycle, and how Grihastha should behave or how Grihastha should take help from that stage of his life to attain this goal is what this chapter is all about. Let's get to, so we understand now the simple living is one of the instruments of reaching that goal. Then what that simple living means, the natural products created by Supreme Personality of God should be utilized to maintain the bodies and souls of all living entities. The necessities of life are of three types: those produced from the sky, rainfall, and those coming from the earth, from the mines and the seas or the fields, and from the atmosphere, which is obtained suddenly and unexpectedly. Panchabhutas, whatever Panchabhutas are giving through the help of Devatas. This has to be what your life, you should depend your life on these things. Right, Prabhuji and Mataji? So at the end of it, it doesn't matter what you are working as, how much you are earning, what your social status is. At the end of it, you cannot live if you are not depending on things that are growing, if you're not depending upon things that are coming from earth, if you're not depending on rains, if you're not depending on air, right? So, and the natural products created by Supreme Personality of God should be utilized to maintain the bodies and souls of all living entities. So what does it mean really? So where should your mental security should be? Where should you put your mental security? If you lost a zero on your bank balance, that's not what you should be worried about. If it is not raining, that you're not going to get rice in the next season, that's what you should be worried about. If it is not, if you see what I'm saying, Prabhuji and Mataji, so the basic things that are required for life are pretty much free. Really, your effort is little for rain. Your effort is little for putting a grain in the soil, and your effort is very little to make sure you have proper atmospheric air and stuff like that, right? So the more you make your life simple, the more you put your mental security on simple things, then the greater you have the chance of liberation. So can somebody wants to read the purport, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'll read it. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu.
Purport. We living entities in different forms are all children of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita 14.4. Sarva yonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavantiya tesham brahma mahadyonir aham bija pradapita. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed being father. The Supreme Lord Krishna is the father of all living entities in different species and forms. One who is intelligent can see that all living entities in the 84 lakhs bodily forms are part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are his sons. Everything within the material and spiritual worlds is the property of Supreme Lord. Isha Vashim Idam Sarvam. And therefore, everything has a relationship with him. Srila Rupa Goswami says in this regard, Prapanchikataya buddhaya hari sambandhi vastunaha mumukshibhihi parityago vairagyam falgu kutyate. One who rejects anything without knowledge of its relationship with Krishna is incomplete in his renunciation. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.256. Although Mayavadi philosophers say that the material creation is false, actually it is not false. It is factual, but the idea that everything belongs to the human society is false. Everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for everything is created by him. All living entities, being Lord's sons, his eternal parts and parcels, have the right to use their father's property by nature's arrangement. As studied in Upanishads, Tena Tiktena Bhunjita Magradha Kashyas with Dhanam. Everyone should be satisfied with the things allotted him by Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one should encroach upon another's rights or property.
Hare Krishna. Let's stay there, Prabhu. So here again, Srila Prabhupada is explaining our relationship with the 84 lakh species, right? This is interesting. When I was reading this, I was thinking how to establish that relationship, basically, right? So if you look at ourselves, what should marriage do? What should marriage do? Marriage should be the first step of teaching you some element of selfless service to somebody somebody is a stranger in your life. Right? So you're wedlocked to somebody who has taken a different path, and then if you look at it, you're going to serve that person selflessly. And that becomes even higher. That becomes even higher when you start having your children. You do selfless service to it. This is what marriage should help. This is what marriage should help you. Surrender to something for no cause. And that's what children should help you to do. And then that should extend to beyond children, to other family members, other children, other friends, friends of associates, to other living beings. How does that happen? Does that happen that easily? Does that happen that easily? That's the question. That happens easily when, as Prabhupada mentioned here, we should even Mayavadi say that the world is a myth, but it is the materialistic world that is a myth, but the spiritual world is not. So when you're understanding your relationship with another living being on the materialistic platform, the surrender is difficult. But here, if you are able to understand your relationship with another human being or other jiva on the spiritual platform, then the surrender happens. So what does that mean, understanding in spiritual platform? That the beginning of understanding the Paramatma aspect of human being. The Paramatma aspect of jiva should help you identify or help you to connect to that Paramatma aspect of the other in any jiva. Right? So that is again the responsibility of Grihastha. Grihastha should be able to or be ready to serve any of these 84 lakh species. And again, as I said, on a materialistic platform, it is difficult unless we cross that barrier of materialistic platform in self-realization and are able to communicate, are able to understand things on a spiritual platform. It is difficult. But once you are able to get to that point, yes, you should be able to identify the species, the 84 lakh species. You should be able to identify and establish that paramatmic relationship. Otherwise, understanding this, Supreme Personality of Godhead is the source of every living entity becomes a jnanic statement. Right? It becomes an academic statement. Understanding of that becomes an academic statement. It is good, useful to explain it to 4 more people or 10 more people. But when it comes to practice, if you are not able to realize that, then it's of no use or it's not helping in the liberation process. That's the reason why in all our, anytime we keep talking about this, right? We make so much prasadam and should we, because that's the way, if the prasadam gets distributed to every other, what do you call, human beings, living beings, or sometimes it even goes to non-living beings, then that's not, never it's going to be wasted. Whatever is being wasted is, yes, the sum of your money is being wasted, but not God's gift to the human beings. God's gift to Jiva stuck in materialistic world, basically, right? Prasadam is a transcendental aspect. Then there is when you distribute it to somebody, in an unknown person also, that transcendental aspect of it gets ignited in that particular Jiva. Right? So the next step of the simple living will help you. The simple living will start helping you understand that all other jivas will start help you to connect with all other jivas at a spiritual platform. Why? How does it help? Unless, see, the simple living takes you away from materialistic living. When you are away from materialistic living, we are going away from materialistic thinking. When you are away from materialistic thinking, you are disassociating yourself with materialistic association. Again, don't take association as physical friend, meeting to your friend, but mentally associating. You're taking away your sense objects association with the materialistic association, with materialistic thinking, materialistic satisfaction. That can happen only when you replace it with the transcendental or spiritual thinking, spiritual association, associating your senses with spiritual satisfaction. Right? All living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performing yajna or sacrifice. And yajna is born of prescribed duties. So what are the prescribed duties? Your prescribed duties is, our human beings' prescribed duties, our grihastha. See, these are the duties now animals cannot perform. These are the duties human beings with animalistic things cannot perform. These are the duties that can be performed only when human beings have crossed that materialistic barrier and are able to understand the transcendentalistic nature of God and be able to understand the purpose of their life, purpose of their phase of life, the grihastha phase of life. Only they can do their prescribed duties as prescribed in the Shastras and be attached. And that's the yajna that is needed for rains to come. When food grains are sufficiently produced, both animals and human beings can be nourished without difficulty for maintenance. This is nature's arrangement. And again, the purport further goes on. Again, let's just read the last line here. An intelligent person should try to spread Krishna consciousness through the chanting of holy name of the Lord, and all necessities of life will automatically follow. Once we understand the cycle of doing duties unattached is the way of doing yajna for the rain to come, right? That's the source of all the life. Then when the part of rain that has come as part of your yajna, then that raindrop has a transcendental nature in itself, and that raindrop is going to create grain that is going to make devotees. Krishna. So let's get on to the next topic of this chapter. So when it comes to the 8th sloka, one may claim proprietorship to as much wealth as required to maintain body and soul together, but one who desires proprietorship over more than that must be considered a thief, and he deserves to be punished by the law of nature. By the law of nature. Hare Krishna. This is important. We don't understand the law of nature. We always go by law of the land. Am I paying my proper taxes? So I'm a good guy. I haven't earned money in an unlawful way, what as defined in the Constitution. So I'm properly perfect person qualified for moksha. The law of nature subsedes. The law of nature overrides the law of land, the law of any constitution. And here Narada Muni is saying, one may claim proprietorship to as much wealth as required to maintain body and soul together. Maintain body alone, not maintain body and soul together. Why do you have to maintain soul, but just not body? Because not maintaining soul puts you onto materialistic platform. Maintaining only body means that's what materialistic people do. But you have to understand the self-realization and then work or do things to maintain the soul. One who desires proprietorship over more than that must be considered a thief, and he deserves to be punished by the law of nature. So if you again, don't take it physically of money, basically. If your money is not helping you to maintain the soul, you are considered a thief, period. If the wealth, again, money is what? Money or proprietorship is what? Wealth is what? Wealth is nothing but is the resources of materialistic world that the world is offering towards. If you look at, again, I think we discussed this in one of the sessions. The way you should look at salary. Salary is what really the society is saying. So much of natural resources can be at your disposal for your worth so much. That's what salary means, really. The society is defining that these so many of natural resources are at your disposal because we think you're an intelligent person. You're useful to the society. And the way they have defined usefulness to the society itself is a fraud in materialistic thinking or in capitalistic thinking. The Shastra is also saying the same thing. The Shastra is also saying the same thing, but the definition of usefulness is different. Whom does Shastra consider useful to the society? The Shastra considers the Brahmin who is helping souls to liberate themselves is useful to the society. And it is asking Grihasthas, please take care of those Brahmins. Right? Feeding a Brahmin mouth is lot more likened by God than feeding Agni. Right? We have seen that in a couple of places in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Basically, God is more pleased by we feeding somebody who is helping liberate the society, bring people closer to God, than doing a yajna, feeding the fire god. Pleasing a Vaishnava is even considered superior to pleasing a Devata at that point. Right? So it is again coming back to, one may claim proprietorship to as much as wealth as required to maintain body and soul. Most of the times we remove the soul aspect of it and we remain in the body aspect of it. The moment you put the body aspect, see, taking care of things materialistically is important, as much as important that it helps you take care of your spiritual aspect of life. If that is not fulfilled, then the first part is useless. But one who desires proprietorship over more than that must be considered a thief, and he deserves to be punished by laws of nature. Right? Hare Krishna. So the simple living, simple thinking should lead us to a point where that helps us understand our materialistic needs to minimum, so much so that your spiritual needs are fulfilled to the maximum. That's what simple living should help us do. So let's get on to the 9th shloka. One should treat animals such as deer, camels, asses, monkeys, mice, snakes, birds, and flies exactly like one's own son. How little difference there actually is between children and these innocent animals. So unless we get into that simple thinking, simple living, and what you call simple thing living, and bigger picture thinking big, we cannot expand our imagination, our thinking to see them all on the same platform. When can you see them all on the same platform? When you have really learned, identified, and understood that all of them also have the Paramatma aspect in them. Until we identify that, we cannot get the transcendental purification or understand our soul's journey. Right? Let's get to next 1-2 shlokas where they talk about over accumulation and its problems. Even if one is a householder rather than a brahmachari, a sannyasi or vanaprastha, one should not endure very hard for religiosity, economic development, or satisfaction of the senses. Even in householder life, one should be satisfied to maintain body and soul together with whatever is available with minimum endeavor according to place and time. By the grace of Lord, one should not engage oneself in Ugra Karma. So definition of Ugra Karma is given really here. What does here Narada Muni is calling Ugra Karma? Anything that over enduring is called Ugra Karma. Not that you are working more than 8 hours is called Ugra Karma, but anything that you are over enduring, anything that's over enduring means anything that is not helping you towards your spiritual progress, or any endearment activity that you are enjoying better than a spiritual activity is considered Ugra Karma. In human life, there are 4 principles to be fulfilled: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. First one should be religious, observing various rules and regulations. And then one must earn some money for maintenance of his family and satisfaction of his senses. The most important ceremony for sense gratification is marriage, because sexual intercourse is one of the principal necessities to maintain material body. Although sexual intercourse is not very exalted requirement in life, both animal and man require some sense gratification because of material propensities. One should be satisfied with married life and not expend energy for extra sense gratification or sex life. This most of us understand. Probably most of us think this is good, and most of us fail to expand the same thing in making a living or an earning. So here, see, again, majority of our culture is all about marriage. The requirements of body should be satisfied within marriage, and we all believe in that, and we all agree to that, and we all satisfy that need, satisfy that requirement for majority of the times as a society. But when it comes to earning, but we are not able to implement the same kind of principle that I should be able to figure out a way to satisfy with what I have. Rather, I should keep on earning. Move on earning, basically. That's what capitalistic market does. So what is that doing? What is it really doing to human life is when you're thinking that you can do whatever it takes to earn more money, when you're thinking that you can do whatever it takes to more money, as long as it's legal, lawful, and all, now you're expanding or putting the same principles to even marriage life. As long as legally I'm able to do whatever it takes to expand my sense gratification activity. So when the moment somebody is getting attracted beyond marriage, then they are now figuring out ways to cut this so that you can get legal something. You see what I'm saying? So if you look at it, 20, 30 years ago, change of job was not so much heard. Change of philosophy is not so much heard. First and foremost, change of philosophies have come in life. Change of philosophies have entered into family lives. Then that resulted in change of, the next step is change of job has become normal. Now change of sense satisfaction through marriage has become normal. So how it is degrading one by one. So once we have lost satisfaction in simple living, you're also losing satisfaction in simple sense gratification. See, so once you're overdoing in one aspect of life, you're also doing, you'll be also, the materialistic propensity is that it will tell you it's okay to overdo in another materialistic aspect of. And all these materialistic aspects of life ends the moment your materialistic life ends. The only thing that can carry is something that your thought process, some of your thought process, which is beyond this materialistic life. That is crossing that materialistic platform into that spiritual platform and understanding the soul needs. The nourishment of the soul, the servicing of the soul, basically. Just like the way you service your body every 24 hours by sleeping for 8-9 hours. Similarly, the soul needs certain aspects of service, and that is not definitely sleep. That is time spent with God. No, that's the time spent with God consciousness. Right? Until you fix that, if you don't fix that, the total is same, whether you spend the total in materialistic or spiritual, in spiritual aspect of life, in God consciousness or materialistic consciousness. The more you have in the God consciousness, the lesser it can be on the materialistic consciousness, or the lesser you want to force this lower, then the other one will start going into higher plane. So for that, simple living is one tool. Narad Muni is saying, the moment you start thinking of simple living, or the moment you're able to enjoy simple living as an instrument of getting closer to God consciousness, so that should help you liberate and reach the goal of life. Hare Krishna. So again, let's start going into the next sloka. Okay. So I was thinking to come touch upon at least till 18th shloka. So let's. Dogs, fallen persons, and untouchables, including chandalas, should all be maintained with their proper necessities, which should be contributed by the householders. Even one's wife at home, with whom one is most intimately attached, should be offered for the reception of guests and people in general. Let's just get to the next sentence. This is again talking about not overdoing things. Okay. The next 12th onwards. One so seriously considers one's wife to be his own, and he sometimes kills himself for her or kills others, including even his parents or his spiritual master or teacher. Therefore, if one can give up his attachment to such a wife, he conquers the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is never conquered by anyone. So, see, here again, Narad Muni is saying the materialistic attachment or sense gratification in a spouse, from a spouse, can take you to any extent. See, sometimes you see these things, right? When you're interested in, it doesn't happen these days. It's man interested in particular girl, and if girl is not satisfied, the guy is going after and killing her. No, it's happening in both directions these days. Again, so what is the difference? There is a saying: if love is true, where is room for hatred? Here, one is so seriously considers one's wife to be his own that he sometimes kills himself or her. See, so if love is true, where is room to hate somebody? If that particular person is not reciprocating, but the love should not change to a point it really reaches to hurt the other person. That means there is no love. What is there then? What is there is just lust, but that is misinterpreted as love. So both these things are when that love is on the materialistic platform that turns to lust, lust turns into anger, and in anger, you don't know what you're doing. That's what exactly Prabhupada is saying here. In the translation of Narad Muni is saying, basically, he kills himself or kills others. And so this is the attachment we should get ourselves detached from. Every husband is too much attached to his wife. Therefore, to give up one's connection with his wife is extremely difficult. But if one can somehow or other give it up for the service of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, then the Lord himself, although not able to be conquered by anyone, comes very much under the control of the devotees. And if the Lord is pleased with such a devotee, what is there? What is there that is unobtainable? When someone not give up his affection for his wife and children and take shelter in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, where is the loss of anything material? Householder life means attachments for one's wife, whereas sannyasa means detachment from one's wife and attachment to Krishna. So it is, see, it's not about detachment, means it's not about spending a diverse life, but being able to spend life together and still not getting to this kind of attachment that is turning into lust, that lust is turning into anger, and that can be prevented only when you put Supreme Personality of Godhead in the center of your relationships. When you as a person, as wife and husband, are being able to reciprocate, are being able to pray that wife and husband, Krishna and Radharani, then automatically the relationship will get to a point, a relationship will bloom into a point that will take you closer to Radharani and Krishna, the Lord Krishna himself. Until then, you are living in a elastic attached life. Right? That's the need. That's the reason why we have to start thinking in this direction. Right? Then let's get on to the next sloka. Though through proper deliberation, one should give up attachment to his wife's body, because the body will ultimately be transformed into small insect stool or ashes. What is the value of this insignificant body? How much greater is the Supreme Being, who is all pervading like the sky? Again, we know what happens to the body once the life aspect of it is gone in search of another body. Then the body either turns into ash or stool, or becomes earth, based on how that body is disposed of. And what is the point in getting attached to that materialistic aspect of other living being? So I keep saying this all the time. It's very easy to understand. I'm a human being, I'm a body, I have a soul. This body has a soul. It's very easy to understand, because born in Andhra Pradesh, born in India, born in this philosophical land, it's very easy for us to start thinking this body has a soul. That's my spouse, that body has a soul, so I respect that. The aspect of thinking should be, this is a soul, the soul needed a body, the soul is the permanent aspect. The permanent aspect needed to fulfill certain requirements. For that requirements, a certain body is given. That is the same case for me. That is the same case for my wife. That's the same case for my child. That's the same case for my boss. And all of their journey is there in search of God. But in that process, they have taken this body. In that process, this body is helping them, but they are forgetting to take help from the body, but they're just living for satisfying the body's needs. As long as we are living ourselves in satisfaction of the body's needs, and then we are going away from God. The other way is, as long as you are putting God in the center of it, that will help you understanding the materialistic need of each body better, and help you understand its limits, and help you understand how to turn those needs into spiritual progress. Krishna. So let's get on to next one, 14 shloka. Somebody, yeah, I muted them. Sorry. An intelligent person should be satisfied with eating prasada, food offered to the Lord, or with performing 5 different kinds of yajna, panchasuna. By such activities, one can give up attachment for the body and so-called proprietorship with reference to the body. When one is able to do so, he is firmly fixed in the position of Mahatma. Hare Krishna. If somebody wants to read. This
Hare
is
Krishna,
14. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Praveen Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Purport. Nature already has an arrangement to feed us. By the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is an arrangement for eatable for every living entity within 84 million forms of life. Eko bahunam yo vidati kaman. Every living entity has to eat something, and in fact, the necessities for his life have already been provided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord has provided food for both the elephant and the ant. All living beings are living at the cost of the Supreme Lord, and therefore one who is intelligent should not work very hard for material comforts. Rather, one should save the energy for advancing in Krishna consciousness. All created things in the sky, in the air, on land, or in the sea belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and every living being is provided with food. Therefore, one should not be very much anxious about economic development and unnecessarily waste time and energy with the risk of falling down in the cycle of birth and death. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Lord has provided food for both the elephant and the ant. All living beings are living at the cost of Supreme Lord, and therefore one who is intelligent should not work very hard for material comforts. Rather, one should save his energy for advancing in Krishna consciousness, and that part of it can happen when you are starting to eat prasadam. Now, when you are starting to eat only prasadam. There are two different things. Eating prasadam is something, but eating only prasadam means so you are eating that is being offered to the God. You are eating so that something that God is accepting, or God is taking away all the karmic impact of that particular prasadam, and you are eating a nishkarmic prasadam, nishkarmic things just to maintain your body. When you are able to do that, then the body has lesser needs of karmic needs, and then it becomes all its energy will be utilized in service of the Lord. Now, all its energy will be utilized in consciousness of in thought of bhakti, in such consciousness that will take you away from the cycle of birth and death. So all created things in the sky, in the air, on land, and sea belong to Supreme Personal Godhead, and every living being is provided with food. Therefore, one should not be very much anxious about economic development and unnecessarily waste time and energy with the risk of falling down in the cycle of birth and death. The more you are anxious about economic development, then the more there is risk of. The more you are anxious about economic development, the greater the risk of falling into the cycle of birth and death. So when do you fall in the cycle of birth and death? When you have still certain karma to be left to be fulfilled, then you have to come back but to fulfill that karma by birth and death, by taking birth and by going through the cycle of death. That can be nullified only by filling the materialistic body, which will cause no karma, that is prasad. The little element of non-prasadam you are eating is little element of contribution to karma. That little element of non-prasadam you are eating has little risk of coming back to this materialistic world again, is what Srila Prabhupada is clearly explaining here. Therefore, one should not be very much anxious about economic development and unnecessarily waste his time and energy. Then the risk of falling, then with that comes the risk of falling down into the cycle of birth and death. So the importance of simple living also should lead to importance of eating with only prasadam. Eating is a need of the body. We have talked about the basic sense satisfactions that are required for the body. So the sensory pleasures have to be satisfied with limited arrangement. Then the adda kama, right? The kama we talked about, the adda aspect, the earning aspect of it has to be with the limited this thing to maintain the body, and that body has to be maintained with only eating prasadam, and then those are the things that lead you to the moksha marg. Let's read the 15th sloka. Every day, one should worship the Supreme Being who is situated in everyone's heart, and on this basis, one should separately worship the demigods, the saintly persons, ordinary human beings, and living entities, one's forefathers and oneself. In this way, one is able to worship the Supreme Being in the core of everyone's heart. So here Narada Muni is saying, we should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, understanding that he is situated in everyone's heart. Then that will give you the proper association, the proper living in an association of paramatmic association, basically being able to understand everything around you, everything that has a life around you has paramatma aspect. And on this basis, one should separately worship the demigods and the saintly persons. Why should you worship the demigods and the saintly persons? You should worship the demigods and saintly persons for only one reason. So once you understand this, the reasons for which you should understand demigods, you should worship demigods, that they control nature better than you. They can control nature better than you. Why should you worship saintly persons? They can help you control your nature better than you. Then ordinary human beings and living entities, why? Ordinary living beings and human beings also needs to be worshipped, for you want to worship along with them the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For that reason, you need to surrender yourself to the people whom you are associating and being able to connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or the Atma Paramatma aspect in ordinary human beings and living entities, and that should help you back into worshipping Supreme Personality of Godhead. Once forefathers, and then once you start understanding, you'll understand how you should worship your forefathers and how you should worship your own self. In this way, one is able to worship the Supreme Being in the core of everyone's heart. Let's get on to the 16th sloka. When one is enriched with the wealth and knowledge which are under his full control, and by means of which he can perform yajna or please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one must perform sacrifices, offering oblations to the fire according to the directions of the Shastras. In this way, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Let's get to the next two shlokas and discuss if we need to. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the enjoyer of sacrificial offering. Yet although his lordship eats and the oblations offered in the fire, my dear king, he is still more satisfied when nice food made of grains and ghee is offered to him through the mouth of qualified Brahmanas. Again, this is the kind of service or sacrifice one grihastha should be doing. Be able to offer proper grains and ghee to or feed a Brahmana, or feed the Lord through a Brahmana. How will the Lord be fed through a Brahmana? Because Brahmana is here living as a Vaishnava for the mission of God, for making understand all the living entities, their purpose of life, and they should go back to the Godhead. That's the reason why God is happier when you are fed him, when you feed him through the mouth of Brahmana, is what Narada Muni is saying. So again, this is one of the reasons one of the things that grihastha should be doing. Therefore, my dear king, first offer prasada unto Brahmanas and the demigods, and after sumptuously feeding them, you may distribute prasada to other living entities according to your ability. In this way, you will be able to worship all living entities, or in other words, the supreme living entity within every living entity. That's the reason why we in ISKCON, there's so much emphasis to prasadam, you eating prasadam, and we distributing prasadam as grihasthas. And this is what we have done in the last 1 week with all the Jagannath Ratha Yatra. So, but now whatever activity we did, now giving some context to that and trying to understand it in that perception, and those are the responsibilities of grihastha. And then this is what Narada Muni is defining grihastha dharma to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Hare Krishna. So with this sloka, I'm stopping here for the class, and probably next class we can discuss about what the next slokas talk about. They talk about what kind of activities one should be doing and at what places one should be doing in terms of worshipping the God. They talk more about deity worship and treatment of demigods, and more in the worship aspect from here onwards. But this is the basic responsibilities of grihastha. Hare Krishna. So, if there are any questions, we'll discuss because it's already 8:45.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Balaman Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Balaman Mataji.
Excellent class, Prabhuji. చాలా మంచి ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్ ఇచ్చారు. ఇది మనం మామూలుగా చదువుతున్నప్పటికంటే ఇది చాలా డీటెయిల్డ్ ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్. చాలా బాగుంది ప్రభుజీ. అసోసియేషన్ గురించి కానీ ప్రసాదం గురించి కానీ చాలా బాగా చెప్పారు ప్రభుజీ. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్.
హరే కృష్ణ మాతాజీ, దండవత్ ప్రణామ్. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to serve you, Mataji, in both regular Bhagavatam classes and especially this Bhagavatam class. So yes, Mataji, here we are discussing little more in detail because we are only talking about few slokas. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I mean, it's the same topic we talk about many times, but now we put it in a context of conversation, the actual conversation that happened between Narmani and Yudhishthira Maharaj. And hopefully we are able to take few lines from it. Bless me, pray for me, and help me that I also follow and take few lines from what we just discussed. Hare Krishna. Any specific questions, Prabhuji, Mataji, that we can discuss? Praveen Prabhu, Giriraj Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna Lilananda Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Firstly, I'm very grateful that this morning classes series is continuing. There was a intermediary halt because of too many other engagements that we all got into. But I'm very grateful to Praveen Prabhu, Subba Rao Prabhu, that you are with your determination, you are still scheduling and moving forward. Very, very grateful. So one thing, Prabhuji, just wanted to clarify while you were explaining about material world and spiritual world, you mentioned that material taking association from material world is a myth, taking association from spiritual world is reality. Can you elaborate that?
The word myth, Jagat Mithya, we always say, what is Mithya, what is myth is really the materialistic world is a myth, but the spiritual world is real. Most of the people, when they hear that, they assume even the spiritual world is a myth. When they say, when Jagat Mithya means just the material world is myth, but most people, Mayavadis mostly understand it as even the spiritual world is myth, and so we ultimately go and merge into something is Brahman basically. So it should be understood as less the materialistic world is myth. Why is materialistic world myth? Because you don't carry any of it with the journey of the soul. But then why should it be called myth? It is real. Even materialistic world is real, but the aspect, if we start thinking it's real, we put in all our energy and we endeavor for a success in materialistic world, and we realize at the end of the life nothing is coming, and at that point of time realizing it is a myth is of no use basically. So in that context, that words are used for. Is that right, Prabhu, or is that wrong?
No, it's just a little bit of words. No, just a little bit of words that you and me are using, which is a little different from how Prabhupada explained.
Okay.
If you allow me, yes. I'll just repeat. Yes, Prabhupada always told this Jagat Mithya, this Mithya is not right. Nothing is a myth. Even the material world is real. You also told at the end that both spiritual world and material world, both are real. Both are created by the Supreme Lord. It's not that we are imagining something that doesn't exist. It's not created by Maya Devi. It is created by Supreme Lord only. Even the material world is created by Supreme Lord only. So it is real, but it is temporary. That is how Prabhupada has many times told that material world is also real, but it is temporary. It comes into existence, it gets manifested, then it is unmanifested, then it's manifested and unmanifested, but it's real. And everything that we do in this material world bounds us to be in this material world when we try to enjoy this material world. So that is the fundamental thing, that when we enjoy this material world, we have tendency to enjoy. That is the reason material world is created. And when we enjoy this material world, we are stuck in this material world. Whereas for a devotee, there is no difference between material world and spiritual world, because actually everything is spiritual world only. Just that Krishna gives us the sense of independence and proprietorship within this material world, but this is also controlled by Krishna only. When Krishna appears in the material world, it's not like he appears in the material world, he's still in the spiritual world only. So for a Krishna conscious devotee, there is no difference between material world and the spiritual world. I'm talking about pure devotees, not practicing sadhakas. So for them, there is nothing called material world, nothing called spiritual world. Prabhupada's journey as a Parivrajikacharya, Paramahamsa, he's always traveling in spiritual world only. It's not like he ever visits, because for them, they see Krishna as the whole and soul, the controller, the enjoyer, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, right? Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Not only spiritual, but also even material. Everywhere Krishna is enjoyer. So in that way, we never use the word myth for material world also. It's always real and temporary. Yeah, but what you said is right. When we get delusion with the material world, we continue our journey here.
So
that's my little understanding.
Right, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Dandavat.
Prabhu, can I ask something now? So you said for a pure devotee, both materialistic world and spiritual world are same. That happens only when your materialistic endeavor is tending towards zero. Right?
Sorry, sorry, your voice got cut in between.
For
Can
a
you repeat
devotee, both materialistic world and spiritual world are same. For a pure devotee. That
Pure
happens
devotee,
only when, that can happen to anybody, but that happens only when your materialistic endeavor is tending towards zero. It's being filled with spiritual perception, right, Prabhu? Spiritual consciousness. Only then the
Yes.
that's where most of the
actually.
I think my realization, my what low thinking. That's where most of the people keeps themselves or believes themselves that they have reached that stage of seeing both in the same.
Yeah.
That's where that's where
true.
we have a lot of problem. And when yes, exactly, that's where I feel a lot of problem even within the devotee circles.
See, there is one thing, Prabhuji. Self-realization is part of God consciousness, but it is not God consciousness. You should understand the difference there. Spiritual life, practicing spiritual life is complete when we worship Krishna. Otherwise, spiritual life can merely be meditation also. Spiritual life can be, in the name of spiritual life, it can be another kind of sense enjoyment also. Right? Subtle sense enjoyment. So, self-realization necessarily may not be God realization. So, people who come to spiritual life, unless they become Krishna conscious devotees, right? For them, it is not really spiritual lives.
You're frozen up, Prabhu.
So, somebody who is spiritually conscious.
The voice is freezing up, Prabhu. I don't know if it's only for me or for everybody.
It's for everyone, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Very well, Prabhu.
Somebody who is spiritually conscious. Hare Krishna, am I audible?
No, Prabhu, you're frozen up. You have to repeat the last two sentences.
Yeah, I'm saying people who say that they are spiritually conscious can still be in the material world itself, unless they're Krishna conscious. Right? So Krishna is the only difference between material and spiritual for a pure devotee. So somebody who is very somebody like a yogi, right? Like Krishna explains in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the different qualities of a yogi. He might be a great meditator, is able to concentrate on him within. He might get siddhis, and he might actually see the difference between material and spiritual, matter and spirit, everything he can see. But still, we cannot say that he is in a spiritual world unless he's Krishna conscious. A Krishna conscious devotee sees Krishna everywhere, relates to Krishna in everything. So for him, there is no difference between material world and spiritual world. There is a very subtle difference there. Yeah, Mayavadis never enter the spiritual world. They always, scratch the surface of the spiritual world in terms of Brahma Jyoti. They are also spiritual, so to say, but they are not Krishna conscious. So they always remain in the outer layer of spiritual world only. But a Krishna conscious devotee, for him, there is no difference between spiritual and material because always with Krishna, in association with Krishna. It's a very, actually, these concepts that we are learning, we have to remember them and we have to understand them. And necessarily, we may take lifetimes to realize them or achieve them, right? And if you are sincere in this life itself, we can go back to Krishna. That is the promise of Prabhupada, right? No other Acharya promised, like no other Acharya on the face of the planet told in this life you can go to Krishna. Nobody else, including Ramanujacharya, Madhvaja, nobody told. But Prabhupada is so mercifully said, follow the four regulative principles, serve Krishna and devotee is the mode of servant of the servant, and I will take your hand and pull you into the spiritual world. So that's the mercy of Acharya, and he is doing it also. There is no doubt about it. Yeah. Material world, spiritual world, all these things are all these things. Even Krishna doesn't say Aham material world Prabhu or spiritual world Prabhu. I say Aham Sarvasva Prabhu.
Yes.
He is there both in material and spiritual. There is no difference.
Yes.
See, once I was discussing, just an extension to what we are discussing. Once I was discussing with Balgowand Prabhu, he asked me a very nice question. Balgowand Prabhu, he said, Prabhu, how can you enjoy matter? There is no life in matter. How can you enjoy matter? How is it possible? Right? How can you enjoy wood? How can you enjoy iron? How can you enjoy steel? How can you enjoy this body? Which is matter. It is pure matter. How can anybody enjoy matter? People are enjoying matter. It's not like people are not enjoying matter. So how is anybody able to enjoy matter also? So then I was thinking, then I gave up. I said, Prabhu, you only tell me. I am not able to understand. How can we enjoy matter? He said, if you are enjoying anything, there has to be Krishna in it. Without Krishna, you cannot enjoy. Without Krishna, there is no attraction to anything. Akarshayati iti Krishna. So even material world has Krishna. That is the reason material world is beautiful. Material world has Krishna. That is the reason it attracts us. A materialistic person is also attracted to Krishna only, but he doesn't know that it is Krishna. He thinks that it is material. He thinks that his body is enjoying, his senses is enjoying, his properties is enjoying. But actually what he's enjoying is Krishna only. Because without Krishna, there cannot be any attraction. The source of all attraction is Krishna only. So even the material world is Krishna only. Right? So that is the reason Prabhupada, even Krishna says the taste of wine is me. The taste, that even alcohol has is me. I'm not saying that's a license for devotees to drink alcohol and say that Krishna conscious, but you should understand that Krishna is in everything. Krishna, without Krishna, yeah. Sorry, bro, you're saying something.
But that's again the inferior energy of Krishna needs to be understood, right?
But for a pure devotee, there is no difference between inferior and superior. For him, everything is Krishna. Everything is superior. Inferior is when we don't see Krishna in it. If we see Krishna in it, it's superior. Even matter, even matter we respect when we see Krishna in it. Like water is matter, but we don't waste water when we see Krishna in it. Right? Earth is matter. We don't damage the planet because we see Krishna in it. It's given to us. It's needed for us. It's like you're reading in the purport that everything natural is given by Krishna. Right? So inferior energy, superior energy, marginal energy, this is all for Sankhya. You're just understanding the creation. That's all. For a devotee, there is nothing called inferior and marginal. Everything is superior for a pure devotee. Right? But for our understanding, yes, we get into inferior energy, superior energy. See, simple, na? Energy is part of energetic. What difference does it make if it's superior or inferior? When we are in love with our father, father himself is very attractive. Father's gifts are attractive. Father's property is attractive. Father's everything is attractive, right? I mean, all is part of father. When we are in love with our children, like infant child, his smile is attractive. His shit is also attractive, right? Because we are in love. It's completely. When we are cleaning the child goes to stool and urine. Still, you're not annoyed. You're just say, oh, my child's. That stool doesn't look like stool, because you are so much in love with the child, right? You're not like annoyed. The same way, everything that is coming out of Supreme Lord, energy, inferior, superior, marginal, this is, yes, it is true. It is an explanation and understanding of us. But the same marginal, when he chooses to be with superior, he is part of the superior energy. That's the reason we are marginal. And the inferior is also given for the service of Supreme Lord. It is also part of him. So for a devotee, there is no difference between material and spiritual, no difference between marginal, Tatastha Shakti, Antaranga Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti. There's no difference. But yes, to make us understand that we should not get attached to anything other than Krishna. We are told that, this is external energy, this is internal energy. Don't get only attracted to external aspects. Don't get attracted to your father's properties. Get attracted to your father. Right? Yeah, that's my understanding.
So is there a possibility that when you're getting attracted to again, I'm using the word, the inferior energy aspects of Krishna, you're more getting the sense gratification and then materialistic you're putting yourself in a materialistic plane and losing an opportunity to get into spiritual plane.
Yes, of course. You're right in saying that. Yes, if I'm not Krishna conscious, I cannot take the risk of being with the inferior energy. Right. If I'm Krishna conscious, then there is nothing called inferior. But if I'm not Krishna conscious, then inferior energy is very dangerous for me.
And again, when you say Krishna
it
consciousness,
can simply pull me and
yes, Prabhu. Again, when we say Krishna consciousness, you have to be only Krishna conscious and no other consciousness. Right, Prabhu?
Yes.
The moment you are also other consciousness, then you think I'm also Krishna consciousness. Then which is not putting you, which is not allowing you to understand that Krishna aspect in the inferior energy or the material aspect. I mean, I know that's my realization, my thinking, Prabhu. But
see, soul is attracted to many things. Soul is attracted to soul is attracted for seva, right? We're all what is it? Gopi Padakamalayora Dasa Dasa Dasanudas. Our Sanatan Dharma is to serve, right? And so attraction in itself can be divided into three categories. Okay. One is seva related attraction. One is relationship level attraction. Other is philosophical level attraction. Right? There are three. I was reading about this recently. His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu was explaining this. So it is attraction also in three ways, right? Seva related, relationship related, and philosophical, very, very clearly. So at a seva level attraction, a living entity can be attracted to anything. Right. He can be attracted to anybody who is serving, right? For example, just for the sake of example, I'm saying Puttaparthi Sai Baba is there. He opened many institutions, and a lot of people opened a lot of anath ashrams and old age homes. If a soul is getting attracted to that, there's nothing wrong, because he's only getting attracted to the seva aspect of it. Because he wants to serve, he's finding avenue to serve, he's going and serving there. So understand it like that. So if somebody is serving in that kind of ashram, you should understand that he's attracted to seva, so he's going there seva, right? But then comes the next level, the relationship, right? Is he serving there because he has very good relationships? He's able to connect with people there. He's able to have good relationship with the Sangha, right? That is also still okay, because people want relationships. A soul wants a relationship. But philosophically, it is not right. Philosophically, it's not right because that is not getting him to Krishna. Right? Because ultimately all philosophies combine us to go to Krishna. So you can do seva someplace, you can have relationship someplace, but all these things should culminate into relationship with Krishna. And same thing applies even to our satsang also. Are you coming here for seva? Are you attracted only to seva, or is there Krishna also in it? Are you coming here for relationships? It can be social relationships, community relationships, but is there Krishna in it? Right? And if Krishna is coming in, then everything is Krishna conscious. Otherwise, it's a wrong path. You're attracted. So attraction is there in different means for a living entity, but you have to make sure that attraction ultimately leads to Krishna. And when it leads to Krishna, then there is no difference between any seva. You're doing seva anywhere, in any way, it is Krishna conscious seva only. As long as there is clear relationship, relatability to Krishna. I don't know. Am I confusing? Maybe I should not have. It's a long, big discussion topic, but
no problem. It is aligned.
It's been a long time. We have gone into the classes and discussing, right? Too much of Rath Yatras and running around. Yeah, anybody else wants to add? Praveen Prabhu, Giraj Prabhu, anybody wants to add or correct me if I have said anything wrong?
ప్రభుజీ
హరే కృష్ణ మాతాజీ
హరే
చెప్పండి.
కృష్ణ. ఇప్పుడు పుట్టపర్తి సాయిబాబా సేవ చేసినంటే ఎవరు చేయింది కూడా బాబా చేశాడు కదా ప్రభుజీ, గివింగ్ ఫుడ్, వాటర్, సమ్ కిలోమీటర్స్ ఆఫ్ ఏరియాస్, ఎడ్యుకేషన్, హాస్పిటాలిటీ అవన్నీ అన్నప్పుడు ఇది కూడా కృష్ణ సేవ కదా ప్రభుజీ. ఇట్ ఆల్సో బిలాంగ్స్ టు
నన్ను అడుగుతున్నారా?
ప్రభుజీ మీరు చెప్పినా సరే, సుబ్బారావు ప్రభుజీ చెప్పినా సరే, అది కూడా సేవ అంటే సేవ కదా ప్రభుజీ. పేదవాళ్ళకి అంతా హాస్పిటల్ చూపించడము అవంతా కూడా అంటే సేవే కదా ప్రభుజీ.
సేవ అన్నది కరెక్టే. సేవ అన్నదంటే తప్పేం లేదు అక్కడ. సేవ అన్నది కరెక్టే. కానీ ఆ సేవ మిమ్మల్ని కృష్ణుడి దగ్గర తీసుకెళ్తున్నదా తీసుకెళ్ళట్లేదా అన్నది చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఎందుకంటే మనకు కృష్ణుడికి బంధం ఉన్నది, అది శాశ్వత బంధం. అది అంటే మనం ఏర్పరచుకునే బంధం కాదు అది. నాకు తెలుగులో కొంచెం చెప్పడానికి ప్రయత్నిస్తున్నాను. ప్రభుపాద్ ఆల్వేస్ టోల్డ్ దట్ వీఆర్ రివైవింగ్ అవర్ రిలేషన్షిప్ విత్ కృష్ణ. వీఆర్ రివైవింగ్ అవర్ రిలేషన్షిప్, నాట్ ఎస్టాబ్లిషింగ్. అంటే మనకు కృష్ణుడికి ఎప్పటి నుంచో ఒక బంధం ఉన్నది, కృష్ణుడితోటే బంధం ఉంది, ఇంకెవరితో బంధం అన్నది ఉండదు. దేవతలందరితో బంధాలు ఉంటాయి, కానీ కృష్ణుడితోటి నిజమైన అనుబంధం ఉంటుంది. ఎందుకంటే మనం కృష్ణుడి నుంచి వచ్చాం. సో ఆ బంధాన్ని మనం మర్చిపోయినందుకే ఈ భౌతిక ప్రపంచానికి వచ్చి మనం పడిపోయాం. ఆ బంధాన్ని మనం తిరిగి ఏర్పరచుకోవాలి, మళ్ళీ ఆ బంధాన్ని మనం స్థాపించుకోవాలి, మళ్ళీ ఆ బంధంలో ప్రేమ తెచ్చుకోవాలి. అలా తెచ్చుకోకపోతే ఏ కార్యమైనా సరే అది వ్యర్థమే. శ్రమ ఏవహి కేవలం అంటుంది భాగవతం, కేవలం శ్రమనే. అలానే మనం చేసే సేవలు, అది పుట్టపర్తి సాగు కానివ్వండి, లేకపోతే ఇంకేదైనా మఠం కానివ్వండి, ఏదైనా కానివ్వండి, ఆ సేవ చేసినప్పుడు మనకు కృష్ణుడి పట్ల ఆకర్షణ రావాలి. ఇంకా ఆకర్షణ ఇంకా దేని మీద పోవద్దు. నేను సేవ చేస్తున్న అహంకారం రావద్దు, నేను సేవ చేస్తున్న ఆనందం వస్తుందేమో, కానీ దాంతో మనకు కృష్ణుడి పట్ల ఆకర్షణ రావాలి. కానీ ఒక వ్యక్తి మిమ్మల్ని తీసుకుపోయి అక్కడ సేవ చేయించి ఆ సేవ మీదనే మాట్లాడి ఆ సేవనే భగవంతుడని, ఆ సేవనే అంతని కృష్ణుడి గురించి మాట్లాడకపోతే ఆ సేవ అంతా కూడా శ్రమ ఏవహి కేవలం అవుతుంది.
ఓకే ప్రభుజీ, అదే ఇందాక మీరు అన్నారు కదా, ఫాదర్స్ గిఫ్ట్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ ఈజ్ ఓకే వి లవ్ బట్ ఫాదర్స్ హ్యాండ్ డిడ్ నాట్ యాక్సెప్ట్ అస్. అదే విధంగా ఏవైతే మన కోరికలు అన్ని ఉన్నాయో, when they are not dissolved or they are not solved, then automatically society also change, the other community also. హిందూస్ అయినా ఎవరైనా కూడా మనకి ఏవైతే కావాలంటే ఈ దేవుడు కాదు ఇంకో దేవుడు, ఈ దేవుడు కాదు ఇంకొక దేవుడు, అట్లా మత మార్పిడి అనేది కూడా ఎక్కువ జరిగిపోతుంది ప్రభుజీ. మనం ఎంత ఇది చేసినా కూడా చాలా మంది
ఎందుకంటే భగవంతుడు ఎవరో వాళ్ళకి తెలియదు కనుక ఫస్ట్ తెలుసుకోవాలి. నా తండ్రి ఎవరో తెలుసుకోవాలి. తండ్రి ఎవరో తెలుసుకోకుండా ఎక్కడ పడితే అక్కడ మనం అది సేవ అని వెళ్ళిపోతే ఆ సేవలో తప్పేమన్నాను నేను. సేవ చేయటంలో ఎప్పుడు తప్పలేదు, కానీ సేవ ఆఖరికి మనం ఎక్కడ చేరుస్తున్నది? సేవ అన్నది మనం ఏ స్థితిలో ఉండి ఆ సేవ చేస్తున్నాము, మన 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 ఆధ్యాత్మిక పరిస్థితి ఎలా ఉంది. అవునా? ఇప్పుడు మనం పోయి ఇప్పుడు జైల్లో క్రిమినల్స్ ఉంటారు, ఆ క్రిమినల్స్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి భగవద్గీత క్లాస్ ని చెప్పగలనా? చెప్పలేనా? చెప్తే వాళ్ళు భక్తులు అవుతారా, నేను క్రిమినల్ అవుతారా అన్నది నాకు తెలియద్దా? నేను కూడా క్రిమినల్ అయిపోవచ్చు, ఎందుకంటే నాకు అంత తట్టుకునే శక్తి లేదు. అక్కడ కూర్చుంటే నేను క్లాస్ ఇస్తే ఆ క్రిమినల్ కూడా క్లాస్ ఇవ్వచ్చు, నేను క్రిమినల్ అయిపోవచ్చు, నా లోపల తప్పుడు ఆలోచనలు వచ్చేసేవచ్చు కదా. సో సేవ అన్న భావంతో సరైన స్ఫూర్తి లేకుండా, సరైన బలం లేకుండా నేను వెళ్ళిపోయి ఎక్కడ పడితే అక్కడ సేవ చేస్తాను, నేను అక్కడ సేవలో ఆనందం ఉన్నదని కూడా చాలా డేంజర్. అది ఏమైనా కావచ్చు, ఏమైనా కావచ్చు. అవునా? ఇప్పుడు ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్తున్నా, పుట్టపర్తి సేవ చెప్తున్నాను, తప్పేం ఎవరి గురించి మనం తప్పు మాట్లాడడం, కానీ కొన్ని ఫిలాసఫీలు తప్పు ఉన్నాయి. ఏంటంటే నేనే భగవంతుడు మీరందరూ భగవంతుడు అని చెప్పేసాడు, మరి తప్పు కదా. అక్కడ సేవ చేస్తే మనం లాస్ట్ నేనే భగవంతుడు అనే ఫీలింగ్ వచ్చేసింది అనుకోండి, ఇంక కృష్ణుడు ఎక్కడ, మనం ఎక్కడ?
అదే
దానికి సేవ చేయటం ముఖ్యం. దానికే చెప్పాను, సేవ పట్ల చాలా మంది భగవంతుడికి రకరకాలుగా ఆకర్షితం అవుతారు. ఒకటి సేవా భావంతో ఆకర్షితం అవుతారు, ఇంకోరు సంబంధ భావంతో ఆకర్షితం అవుతారు, ఇంకోరు సరైన జ్ఞానంతో ఆకర్షితం అవుతారు, ఫిలాసఫీతో. సేవాభావంతో ఆకర్షితం కావడం తప్పేం లేదు, కానీ ఆ సేవ అన్నది కృష్ణుడి దగ్గర తీసుకెళ్ళాలి. సంబంధ భావంతో కూడా ఆకర్షితం కావడం తప్పేం లేదు. ఆ సంబంధాలన్నీ కూడా కృష్ణుడి దగ్గర తీసుకెళ్ళాలి. లాస్ట్కి జ్ఞానంతో అన్న చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. కృష్ణుడు చెప్తారు భగవద్గీతలో, జ్ఞానం చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్, అన్నిటికంటే ముఖ్యం. కనీసం కూర్చొని నేను నా గురించి అంటాడు 12వ చాప్టర్ లో. నాకు జీవితం అర్పించు, జీవితం అర్పించకపోతే కనీసం నీ బుద్ధి అర్పించు, బుద్ధి అర్పించకపోతే కనీసం నీ మనసు అర్పించు, మనసు అర్పించకపోతే కనీసం నీ పనిచేసే కార్యాల ఫలితం అర్పించు, పనిచేసే కార్యాల ఫలితం కూడా అర్పించలేకపోతే కనీసం పనిని అర్పించు, ఆ పని కూడా నువ్వు అర్పించలేకపోతే చక్క కూర్చొని నేను చెప్పేది వినని నిన్ను అంటాడు. నేను కూర్చొని నీ శ్రవణం, కూర్చొని చెవి నేను చెప్పేది నువ్వు అని చెప్తాడు. అంటే జ్ఞానం అన్న తీసుకో, అది కూడా ఒక సేవనే, జ్ఞానం అన్న తీసుకో. సో జ్ఞానం ఎప్పుడైతే వస్తుందో, ఆ జ్ఞానం ద్వారా మనకి ఎప్పుడైతే తెలుస్తుందో కృష్ణుడే సర్వస్వం అని, మనం ఎలాంటి ప్లేసెస్కి వెళ్ళి సేవ చేయాలంటే మనకు ఆ కృష్ణుడు పట్ల ఆకర్షితం పెంచే చోటుకే వెళ్ళి మనం సేవ చేయాలి. ఎక్కడ పడితే అక్కడ సేవ చేయవద్దు. చేస్తే ఏమైందంటే మనం కృష్ణుడి నుంచి దూరం అయిపోవచ్చు, సేవ పేరు మీద కృష్ణుడి దూరం అయిపోవచ్చు.
థ్యాంక్ యూ ప్రభుజీ, చాలా బాగా ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేశారు.
Subba Rao Prabhuji, you want to add anything?
No, Prabhu, what you said is exactly right. That's what, unless the service does not lead to either the people serving or people receiving the service does not lead to God consciousness, then the service is a mere act, that it is gross satisfaction or subtle satisfaction. I like the word you used today, the satisfying, the subtle satisfaction, basically.
No, ఇప్పుడు అంటే ఇంకో విధంగా చెప్పాలంటే, ఇప్పుడు భార్య భర్తలు ఉన్నారు, భార్య భర్తకు సేవ చేయాలి, భర్త కూడా భార్యకి సేవ చేయాలి, చేస్తాడు. భార్య భర్తకు సేవ చేయాలి. భార్య ఇల్లు శుభ్రంగా ఉంచుతున్నది, మంచిగా వండుతున్నది, మంచిగా అన్ని బట్టలు అన్ని సదిరి పెడుతున్నది, కానీ భర్తను మాత్రం ఏం ప్రేమించట్లేదు. మరి అది ఏం సేవ? అది
డ్యూటీ.
అది అంటే ఏం సేవ? అది దేనికి ఆ సేవ? ఆ ఇల్లు ఎందుకు, ఆ పెళ్ళెందుకు? నీకు భర్త పట్లనే ప్రేమ లేనప్పుడు ఇవన్నీ చేస్తే ఏం చేయకపోతుంది. భర్త వచ్చినప్పుడు నాకు టైం లేదండి, నేను చదువుకుంటున్నాను, భాషలు నవ్వుతున్నా అంటే, మరి భర్త మరి ఇవన్నీ చేసేది దేనికి? అవునా కదా? సో చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ అది. మనం సేవ చేస్తున్నాం కానీ ఎవరి కోసం చేస్తున్నాం? లాస్ట్ కి ఎవరు? మీరు దీని గురించి కరెక్ట్ గా తెలుసుకోవాలంటే భాగవతంలో మన 10వ స్కందంలో బ్రాహ్మణ పత్నిల చాప్టర్ ఉంటుంది. బ్రాహ్మణ పత్నిలు కథ ఉంటుంది, అది చదవండి మీరు. ఇప్పుడు మనం డిస్కస్ చేద్దాం దాని గురించి, మేబీ ఇంకో భాగవతం క్లాస్ డిస్కస్ చేయవచ్చు.
ప్రసాదం అడిగితే బ్రాహ్మణులు లేదు, వాళ్ళు మాత్రం ఇచ్చారు, బ్రాహ్మణ పత్నులు ఇచ్చారు. అది ప్రభుజీ
అదే కదా. మరి సేవ ఎవరు చేస్తున్నావు? కృష్ణుడే వచ్చి నాయన నాకు ఆకలి వేస్తుంది అంటే, ఆగు నేను మంత్రం వేస్తున్నాను, నువ్వు విష్ణువు పెట్టాలి, నేను సేవ చేస్తున్నా అనుకుంటే పిచ్చా అది? ఏందది? అవునా కదా? సో ఫస్ట్ భగవంతుడు ఎవరో తెలుసుకోవాలి. భగవంతుడు తెలుసుకోనందువల్లనే ఇవాళ ఆధ్యాత్మిక ప్రపంచం ఇంత నాశనం అయిపోయింది. ఏంటంటే ఎవడు పడతాడు భగవంతుడు అయిపోయాడు, ఏది పడుతుంది సేవ అయిపోయింది. అన్ని రకాలుగా మనం తప్పు చేస్తే కూడా దాన్ని మంచి అని చెప్పడం తిరుగుతున్నాం.
రాత్రి చదివాను ప్రభుజీ, అది అంతా నేను రాత్రి నైట్.
సో భగవంతుడు ఎవరు తర్వాత మీరు భగవంతుడు ఎవరు తెలుసుకున్న తర్వాత మీరు అందరు సేవ చేయండి. మీరు భర్త సేవ చేసిన తర్వాత కుటుంబ సేవ చేయండి, పర్లేదు. కుటుంబ సేవ చేసి భర్త సేవ చేయకపోతే అంతే, అవుట్. అంతే కదా. ఇప్పుడు నేను నా భార్యను సంతోషం ఉంచకుండా ప్రపంచాన్ని సంతోషం ఉంచానంటే నా జీవితం ఏమైపోతుంది? సర్వనాశనం అయిపోతుంది. సేమ్ అప్లైస్ టు భర్త అయినా భార్య అయినా. అట్లనే భక్తుడు భగవంతుడు. నేను భగవంతుడు సేవ చేయకుండా అందరు దేవతల సేవ చేస్తానంటే దేవతలు కూడా సంతోషంగా ఉండరు. నేను భగవంతుడు సేవ చేసి దేవతల సేవ చేశానంటే భగవంతుడే ఆనందం ఇస్తాడు, దేవతల దగ్గర పంపిస్తాడు. ఇంకా ఇక్కడ సేవ చేయపు, అక్కడ సేవ చేయపు, అట్లా. సో ఈ జ్ఞానం ప్రభుపాద వారు ఇచ్చినందుకే ప్రభుపాద వారు అంత గొప్ప ఆచార్యులు. ఇంక ఎవరు కూడా ఇంత స్పష్టంగా ఇంత సూటిగా చెప్పలేదు. ఇవాళ చదివిన పర్పట్లు ఆ చాప్టర్ లో చాలా ప్రాముఖ్యమైన పర్పట్లు అవి. అంటే అవి నిజంగా రోజు చదివితే జీవితమే మారిపోద్ది. కానీ అంటే ప్రతి వాక్యం అట్లాంటిది పర్పటిది. భాగవతం అమల పురాణం ఉన్నారు, అమల పురాణం. భాగవతం అమల పురాణం, ప్రభుపాద్ పర్పట్ కూడా అమల పురాణం. ఎందుకంటే స్పాట్లెస్, అంటే ఎటువంటి మీరు దాంట్లో ఫాల్ట్ చూడలేరు. హరే కృష్ణ. సారీ, ఇట్స్ గోయింగ్ ఆన్. హరే. సో థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్.
థ్యాంక్ యూ ప్రభుజీ.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu. Shall we close?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Dandot Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Subba Rao Prabhuji, Silpa Mataji, for a wonderful class. Always intriguing and questionable. Means like, people ask questions and the clarifications happen nicely in your session all the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shall we close, Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Vancha Kripasindha Bhavaji Padadanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Ananta Koti Vaishnavavrundi Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Dandot.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Dandot. Thank you very much. Dandot Prabhu.